What's a musical hill you're willing to die on? If I'm forced to choose, the 80s is the best decade of music. A lot of people who don't know much about music think of it as cheesy new wave and hair metal decade, but there was so much groundbreaking stuff happening that was incredibly exciting in the rock world. Pixies, Husker Du, Minor Threat, and Fugazi, Jane's Addiction, The Replacements, it just goes on and on and on. You could listen to great 80s music forever without even getting into anything pop, which was also great emo. Not to make everything sad, but I've been going through a hard time after my mother passed away a couple weeks ago, and it was the anniversary of my dad's passing only a couple days before she passed. Thanks for giving me responses to jokily respond to or just generally acknowledge talk about. It's taken my mind off a tough time. I'm here for all the comments. I really wasn't expecting this many replies. I'm just sat on a hotel balcony because of work. I appreciate you all. Anyone that claims the entirety of any single genre is bad, has nothing worthwhile to say. Country is bad. I hate all rap. Go away. There is zero chance you have heard all country, so your statement is nonsense. I have yet to hear a country song I liked, fair enough. I'll let you have that, but all country is bad just means you have decided that some principled stand is more important to you than actually understanding the varieties in a genre. Bro, it's gotta be the argument about the best era of music. I'm all in for the classics, you know? The 70s and 80s brought the real jams, and anyone who thinks otherwise is missing out. Like, the vibes, the solos, the epic hair, it's a musical paradise. So, if someone wants to throw down about modern beats being better, I'm ready to defend the glory days of rock and roll. Classic tunes forever. Bro, I'm standing tall on the old school hip hop is the real deal hill. I mean, the beats, the flow, the storytelling, it's like poetry with attitude. No shade to the new stuff, but the classics like Tupac and Biggie set the bar high. If someone tries to tell me mumble rap is the future, I'm ready to throw down and defend the OG hip-hop legacy. Old school vibes for life. Country, while a minor amount of talented people exists, is largely filled with untalented garbage who pick the genre because their listeners are prideful and will swallow any trash thrown at them whole. For every Dolly Parton there's a 1000 Jason Aldean singing about their pickup trucks, shagging their sisters, or blatant racism, with zero talent to back it up. The rise of southern rap and trap 20-25 years ago brought a shit ton of unnecessary fast and silly hi-hat cymbal noise. Now it's everywhere and it still sucks. Also, MTV has put out a lot of awesome unplugged events, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, but one really stands out. I hate people who say I listen to good music while being serious. For one, they almost never actually do. For two, I don't always want good music. I want the right music for the moment. That's not the same thing. I've seen a lot of people ruin the vibe of the kickback because they listened to good music and put on some shit that turned everyone off. I am convinced that people who say all modern music sucks or something similar only listens to radio music. I almost exclusively listen to music made in the last decade or so, and it's great. There is so much fantastic music being made constantly nowadays that people seem to just look past, instead only looking at cookie-cutter radio pop. Sometimes music just isn't for you. It doesn't mean it's bad music. Everyone should be free to make music and add something to the world without receiving so much hate from people who have never made a song in their life. Go create something instead of criticizing others' creations. If you don't like it, just don't listen. Some of the best bands artists never get the recognition they deserve because they are in generic pop rap country. While they may be popular, I firmly believe that Lake Street Dive, Frank Turner, Etho O'Donovan, Punch Brothers, Run the Jewels, and the Gaslight Anthem should all be way bigger than they actually are. Morrissey making racist comments and going on bizarre rants is nothing new, he's been doing it all his career. But it is still fine to like the Smiths. He's not a politician, he's a depressive moaner, and it's fine to just say yeah, whatever Morrissey, sing us a song will you? Not quite musical hill, more musical fan hill. Gatekeeping music doesn't make you as cool as you think it does. Scoffing at people for listening to normie music doesn't make anyone else think how great and varied your music taste is. You just sound like a bit of a pretentious snob. Vanilla Ice has made more money off music, far more in fact, than hundreds if not thousands of musical geniuses. Because he added an extra note to Under Pressure. You too can be more widely known in your day than Bach himself. Find your single note to add. Collaborate and listen. Melancholy, the Infinite Sadness is a badly produced, bloated mess, with a few good songs padded out with tons of filler. Not sure if this is a hot take or not, but a lot of my friends seem to hold this album as a peak of 90s alt-rock, and I've always thought it was pants. Death metal is supposed to be raw and unpolished, it's part of the charm. Modern production techniques and low tunings etc. have sterilized it to the point of just becoming EDM but with instruments. Would rather just listen to electronic music at that point. The standardization and ubiquity of the 12-tone equal temperament system is a bad thing for a lot of reasons. Among those reasons being cultural erasure, and also, the fact that 12-tet just isn't a great system from a mathematical or aesthetic standpoint. My most recent controversial opinion, at least among friends, family and workmates, is that Last Christmas is to Christmas songs as Die Hard is to Christmas movies. It's not about Christmas, it's just set at Christmas, and that's not the same thing. Music is just wiggly air that decorates time. It's incredibly subjective and not worth getting worked up about. There's some guy who gets the most dopamine his brain will allow from polka music. Couldn't be me, but I'll never yuck somebody's yum. Nickelback do not deserve the absolute detest they seem to cop. Nowhere near a fan of what they do. I really dislike the music they have put out from day dot, but there are so many bad bands out there and it doesn't seem fair they are so hated. It's okay to like bands that aren't good. Sometimes we like bands for reasons other than I think they're good. You don't have to bend over backwards to justify why you like them, and you don't have to freak out when other people don't like them. How to Train Your Dragon was absolutely robbed at the 2011 Oscars. John Powell created the best original score of any film that's not John Williams, and the fact that The Social Network and Toy Story 3 took the awards that year is a mockery. Between like 11-15 years old, they are your most impressionable years, and whatever was popular at the time you have a special place for. For me that would be boy bands such as NSYNC and BSB, and I am loving every minute of it. Britney Spears' Gimme More is indie pop. James Hetfield could have made a lot of money as a hitmaker for other artists. It's a shame Hetfield didn't put out solo albums with more melodic songs that wouldn't fit Metallica. Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris still can't stand each other. Dickinson's return to Iron Maiden in 1999 was a reunion of convenience for both parties, and it simply went better than anyone ever expected. Oh boy, I got a few. Weezer has no bad albums. James Lobry Dream Theater still has amazing studio vocals. Liv is very hit or miss, but I still love the guy. The bass should take the lead more often. Billy Strings is not special. He is a bluegrass country equivalent of Taylor Swift. Sure, he can play and sing, but so can countless other young male musicians. It sounds just like the rest of bluegrass. Rock has been dead for 20 years. From the 1950s to 2003-ish, you got a whole new genre or three every decade that would explode in culture and echo around the world. Hasn't happened since nu metal. It's widely accepted here on Reddit but not as much in the real world, but Weird Al is a freaking musical genius whose work and personality puts him in the pantheon with Bob Ross and Steve Irwin. Prince was infinitely better than Michael Jackson. The only reason Jackson was pushed more was that he was seen as ironically more family-friendly when compared to Prince and his material. Vocal vibrato. I don't see the appeal in trying to sound like a nervous amateur. Apparently it's supposed to add warmth to a song, but I feel that isn't necessary most of the time it's used. It's okay to only like a couple songs by artists, and not enjoy listening to full albums. In fact, you can still call yourself a fan of said artists, even if you don't like every song by them. I will stand on the hill that nu metal is amazing. I still listen to Limp Bizkit. I don't dress the same as I did in 1999, but I do still listen to it, and it's better than a lot of new music. The songs of Milli Vanilli were jams even though we canceled them in the early 90s. I don't care who was singing, the music and the production in songs like Blame It on the Rain was fire. Music has literally never been more diverse and so easily accessible than it is right now, so saying music sucks now is purely a you problem and you're not even trying to find good music. Hating pop music doesn't make you deep. It's honestly kind of cringe. I listen to a lot of non-mainstream music, but nothing hits quite like a well-written and well-produced pop album. Being a jerk about the music other people like might be a part of growing up, but if you don't grow out of it you most likely have some issues with yourself you need to work out. Mark Knopfler is one of the most talented musicians of the 20th century, like top 3. His songwriting, lyrics, the way he plays guitar, his solos, everything is just perfect. Music is art. Like any art, if it doesn't speak to you you're not the target for it. That said, there's plenty of music that's just there to occupy time, like hotel paintings. Some of the music from the 1930 is some of the best music ever composed. The Planets, The Firebird, The Rite of Spring, The Miraculous Mandarin, the list goes on and on. I hate Kanye West's music. Runaway is one of the best songs ever written and an absolute stinger, the self-hate song that is way too relatable and painful to listen to. Frank Zappa was the greatest composer-guitarist of the 20th century. Fight me. Wait, I'm old with the spinal fusion. That would hurt. But I stand here on my hill. If you have no interest in other forms of music, what you're into is not music but the aesthetic, and you're missing out on really talented musicians' artwork. I don't claim to listen to every genre of music, but I would argue that they all have at least a few good songs. The elitism amongst fans needs to stop. No genre of music is objectively better than another. People can have preferences, but pretending that their preferences are objective facts is just cap. Kiss is the worst band in US rock music history. Johnny Cash was a legend, love his stuff. But he didn't have a great voice as far as pitch tone go. The only reason it seems like music was better in the good old days is that you don't remember all the trash that was released alongside the classics. I'd rather face a choir of angry cats singing off key than admit that Wonderwall isn't the greatest song to play on repeat for 24 hours straight. Every generation has at least one song universally known despite music tastes that replays in their head at random like a bad commercial jingle. Journey is overrated. If Queen was to come out today, they would have never been famous. Modern music 2018 through present is terrible. 90s were the best era for modern R&B, alt rock, and boy-girl groups. 00s were the best era for pop and modern rock. 20s music sucks so far.